Well, we kicked off Monday with some multi-billion-dollar M&A news in the gold space. Newmont proposing to buy Australia's Newcrest mining for $17 billion, a deal that would make Newmont the world's largest miner, which it already is, but would definitely move the goalpost a lot further for anyone to catch up to it. For more perspective, we've got longtime gold investor John Ing. He's the president and CEO of Maison. Thanks so much for joining us, John.
Good to be here.
So we know that this is, I believe, the second offer that Newmont has made. It's all stock. They've nudged up the amount of stock that they're willing to give. Are you skeptical that the deal will ultimately go through with this offer in mind?
Well, there's a number of difficulties. Number one is Australia is not an easy jurisdiction to do a takeover. And the other problem is that it's a premium bid, but there are some major shareholders of Newcrest. There's an 8% shareholder already that has said it's not such a great deal. So my expectation is this is going to be a long, drawn-out affair.
And how will that play out? Because we've already heard from Barrick Gold CEO said very quick to say, I'm not interested in bidding for this company. So it seems like they'd be the only one in a position to offer a rival bid.
Well, Newcrest's assets are in Australia, Canada, and Papua New Guinea. In Australia, the Cadio mine is a mature mine. In Canada, you have Pretium, which is a problem-prone mine, and they're working on yet, I think, another life of mine analysis. And then the Lihir mine is a very mature mine in Papua New Guinea. So my expectation is that there's not a lot of bidders for Newcrest. It's interesting that Newcrest was part of Newmont 30 years ago. So it's like sort of deja vu all over again.
It all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle.
In the mining space. But so with that in mind, because these are assets that are, as you say, they're not in the early phase of their production. Newmont shares are down, and you would expect that because they're making an all-stock offer. But as part of the sell-off, do you think also some skepticism that this is the right asset to acquire?
Well, Newmont's problem for some time has been they are stuck at 6 million ounces, and they have a $1 billion development price tag in some of their projects. So looking down the road, there's growth, but over the near to intermediate term, it's pretty flat. So, in fact, it's ironic that Newmont went after GoldCorp for this very same problem. And GoldCorp was supposed to be a fill-in candidate, but Newmont digested GoldCorp, but it's still, you have Coffee not in production, Eleanor not in production. So my expectation is that Newcrest is also another fill-in candidate. And looking down the road, there's something in Patterson Ridge, which is a development project, but that could take 10 years to really come on stream. So we have yet another fill-in candidate, and I don't think that that's going to be greeted positively by shareholders.
It sounds like you're not giving them a plus grade for how they've integrated companies so far.
Well, I think in the gold mining business, it's easy to buy these assets. It's hard to shine them up, make something out of it. I take Agnico Eagle, for example. Kirkland Lake had Fosterville, which was a very rich, threw off a lot of cash flow, enabled them to buy Detour, which has had a long life mine. That was a good transaction. This transaction, as I said, just doesn't make sense because they're mature assets.
Are they taking advantage of an opportunity where there's no CEO right now at Newcrest? Might that be advantageous for Newmont?
Well, he retires at the end of the year. I think Newcrest has been searching around for not only management, but also for assets. They're also in Ecuador, for example. They have a piece of Solaris, but that's down the road. And Newcrest seems to be poking everywhere in the last 5 years, but they really haven't done a transaction other than, say, Pretium, which I think a lot of people looked at but rejected.
This was about, I think now 15% premium when you look at the fact that Newmont is selling lower. Given that we've seen some momentum in gold prices, do you think that shareholders right now, what is the mood of shareholders? Do they want to be sellers, or do they want to have exposure to these companies that can ride the gold price higher?
I think it's always easy to buy a liquid stock like Newmont, and I think that Newmont shareholders it's a go-to one, but for the longer term. I think Newcrest has had its problem. That was its leverage to the gold price. But as I said, the assets are second tier. This is a gold market where quality assets get a premium. Mid-tier assets really don't deserve a premium right now.
When you joined us last time for a segment on hot picks, one of them was Barrick Gold. It sounds like you prefer Barrick over Newmont. Why?
Well, Barrick has 6 high-tier, top-tier gold mines. Those assets will turn out cash flow no matter what the gold price. Newmont has some, not even a handful of top-tier assets. So that's the difference.
Would you be upset if Barrick threw its hat in the ring for Newcrest, with the caveat that so far they've said they're not going to?
I would be shocked. It's not the assets. They're already in Papua New Guinea, which is a tough jurisdiction. It would dilute Barrick's long-term outlook, yes.
Now, what does it mean for Barrick if Newmont does buy Newcrest, and now Newmont is, say, $57 billion company and Barrick's $35 billion? Does size and scale matter right now?
Doesn't matter at all. For Mark Bristow, it's making money, it's generating cash, quality assets. For Newmont, they were already the biggest, and there's very little advantage by being the biggest other than perhaps your share price.
You're expecting a lot of deals this year?
I think that gold reserves are cheap on a historic basis. In fact, among the cheapest on the market cap per ounce. So my expectation is that there will be more. The trouble is, as I said repeatedly, there's a shortage of quality assets, and precious metals are precious.